Let's say you've got an RV. Perhaps you're a weekend warrior like myself. You go camping primarily on the weekends, and sometimes you go camping at places that don't have full hookups, full power, or maybe you're just at a rest area and you want power for your RV. Well, you certainly could get a gas generator, but they're noisy. You got to have gasoline on hand, and there's the maintenance. And so really, I think a smarter idea is to get a solar generator, just like I've got here, 2 of them. Sometimes they're called power stations. But you want to pick the right one so that it runs everything that you intend it to and you don't have buyer remorse later on. And so what do you get? Well, right here today, I've got 2 of Jackery's highest rated solar generators. I've got the Explorer 1000 version 2 and then the HomePower 3000. They're both great power stations. But if you've got an RV like me, which of these is best? And so in today's video, I'm going to give you all the details, all the information on both of these solar generators, and that way you can decide which one is best for you. And by the way, real quickly, Jackery has some pretty amazing sales at different times of the year, and so I will post all those deals and discounts down below, so be sure to use those links to get the best price possible. Now to begin, let me go over the physical characteristics of these 2 solar generators. Again, I've got the Explorer 1000 version 2 and the HomePower 3000. Let me just give you the dimensions first. Of course, the manufacturer posts all this on their website. Sometimes it's a little bit different, and I'm just gonna round up to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. So first on the Explorer 1000, across the width here, it is 12 7/8 inches. And then on the height, right at 9 3/4 of an inch tall. And then on the depth here, right at 8 3/4 of an inch. This handle, by the way, is recessed, and so it doesn't protrude. Over here on the HomePower 3000, the width is 16 3/8. The height on this one's gonna be right at 12 inches. And the depth is 12 3/4 inches. Now they're both easy to carry. Over here on the Explorer 1000 version 2, it's got a handle along the top. This one's right at about 24 pounds. And then over here on the HomePower 3000, it's got handles built into the top. Now this one's right at about 60 pounds, so it's quite a bit more. But this one right here has almost triple the battery capacity compared to the Explorer 1000 and about double the AC output. Now, as far as the design goes, they're very similar between the 2. And I've actually noticed that Jackery seems to stick to what I'm going to call a tried and true design philosophy, where they spend a lot of time and effort coming up with the right user interface, the right user experience, and then they make that consistent across their lineup. And so you'll notice a lot of similarities right here. But on the Explorer 1000 version 2, we've got a nice 12-volt outlet. That's 10 amps right here. It's nice to see that because a lot of power stations are doing away with that, and I still have things that run off a 12-volt socket like that. So that's definitely nice to have. Then as far as USB ports, we've got a 30-watt USB-C, a 100-watt USB-C, and then an 18-watt USB-A. And of course, this button right here turns those USB ports on and off. Then on the AC portion, it's going to have 3 120-volt outlets. This is a 1500-watt pure sine wave inverter built in. And then this one has a light built in. It's got a dim, a bright, and then a flashing SOS pattern. So that's the 1000 version 2. Over here on the HomePower 3000, it's still got the same 12-volt outlet. I really appreciate that, 10 amps. And then on the USB ports, it has 2 100-watt max USB-C ports, and then 2 18-watt USB-A ports. Same deal with the button there, that turns the USB ports on and off. And on the AC portion, the inverter portion, it's going to have 4 120-volt outlets right there. This one's 3600 watts, and again, a pure sine wave inverter. But this is what makes this unit really special right up here. If you're an RVer, you already know what this is. This is a standard 30 amp receptacle where you can plug your RV directly into the power station. And I most certainly will be plugging my RV in there in just a moment, and I'll show you what it can and can't run, along with plugging things into the smaller Explorer 1000 version 2. But before I do that, I just want to simplify really what sets these 2 units apart. And it really is the AC output between the 2. This one right here has a maximum AC output of 1500 watts. It'll surge up to 3000 watts, whereas over here on the HomePower 3000, it has a maximum AC output of 3600 watts, and it'll surge up to 7200 watts. And so basically this will do anything that a standard 30 amp RV pedestal will do. So if you're at your campsite and you have a 30 amp pedestal, this is essentially like having a portable 30 amp pedestal. Whereas over here, we're limited to 1500 watts. Then the batteries are different between the two, but it's really dictated based on that AC output. So over here we have 1072 watt hours on the battery capacity. Over here, it's about triple that, 3072 watt hours. And so really it's that AC output that dictates the increased capacity of the battery to deliver that AC power. And folks, make no mistake, the Explorer 1000 here is no slouch. I mean, 1500 watts of AC output in something that weighs about 24 pounds, that is very impressive. In fact, in just a moment here, I'm gonna plug things in and show you what you can run on both of these units, because I really think that is the most important factor when you're trying to decide between these two units. You know, what kind of devices or appliances do you plan to run while you're out camping? Because that's really going to determine which one of these is going to suit your needs best. Now I'm going to start with the Explorer 1000. I'm going to bring it inside the RV here, plug in a bunch of different devices, and that way you can get an idea of what you can run with it. Now I'm going to start out simple. Let's say I need to do some basic device charging. I'm going to do my phone first here. This is the companion app, by the way. I will record this, and that way you can see what's going on the unit itself. But I'm just going to plug into the USB-C, the 100 watt there. I'm going to turn the DC power on, and then plug in my phone right there, and it's at 95%, so it's not going to pull a lot right there, but you can see 10 watts of power, no problem, right? Well, how about a laptop here? This is a MacBook Air. Let's go ahead and plug that in through USB-C. Now I can use the USB-C 100 watt port right here. You can see it is pulling right about 66 watts of output, so that's really impressive. I mean, the charger that comes with this is only 45 watts, I think. But I could also choose, if I wanted, this would be less efficient, but I could plug into the AC outlet right here, turn the AC inverter on, and then I'll be charging through that AC adapter. And when we do that, you can see the output, it's probably going to be just a little bit higher compared to USB. Yep, there you go, 78 watts. So again, not quite as efficient going that route, but you can do it. These are basic, simple charging. So whether you've got, GoPro or DJI drones, right? You can easily charge them off the Explorer 1000. But what about something that's higher draw? Well, how about this Espresso Maker right here? Let's see if the Jackery Explorer 1000 version 2 can handle that. So again, I'm going to plug it in right here. I believe it has an initial heat up that it does when I turn it on there. And yeah, you can see it's almost like an instant hot water heater. So look at that, over 1200 watts, no hesitation whatsoever. This is going to do its preheat function. And then I'll actually do a test extraction here and just see what that looks like running off of the Explorer. Now I can hear the fans have kicked on. It's keeping the unit cool right here. I'll turn the display back on so we can see what's going on. But it looks like it's preheated and ready to go. I'm not actually going to put beans in here. I'm just going to do a dummy shot more or less. And we'll see what actually happens here. So here we go. I'm going to do the 2 cup. And so now we've got the heater and the pump running simultaneously. No problem at all. And I mean, this is pretty close to the capabilities, the running watts of the Explorer 1000. 1500 watts. And when that instant heater is running, it's right up there around 1200 watts. But again, no problem for the Explorer 1000. All right, so it looked like the highest it went was right at about 1300 watts. No problem. So you can definitely use an espresso maker. And for those curious, a standard coffee maker would be even less wattage than the espresso maker here, so no problem at all. Now let's try another appliance here in the bathroom. And by the way, folks, you'll notice how easily I'm moving the Explorer 1000 around. It's so lightweight, just so easy to carry. But let's try a hairdryer this time. This one's gonna be a heavier draw appliance. We're really gonna be pushing the limits of it. Just a basic hairdryer. Let's go ahead and flip it on. I'm gonna put it on low first and see where we're at. No problem there, about 800 was about the top. Let's go to the hot speed. A little bit higher right there, and then I'm gonna go to the high on the fan speed. Okay, look at that. So now we are north of 1500 watts. So now we are into the surge capacity of the Jackery Explorer 1000 V2. That is really neat. And folks, that surge capacity, by the way, it's not intended for you to be running in that constantly, but temporarily as something is turning on, that inrush current, no problem at all. But I got a couple other things here I want to run off of the 1000. These are a little bit out of order, but how about a sandwich maker? Sometimes when we're out on a hike, we'll come back to the truck and tailgate a little bit. And this is amazing because then you can have, a fresh grilled cheese sandwich out in the back of the truck there. And so plugging this in, you can see no problem at all. This, I think, really is going to peak out right around 700 watts at the most. Right now it's just preheating, and so yeah, no problem at all. And by the way, you'll also notice on the interface, not only does it tell us how many watts we're consuming, but it also tells us the estimated time remaining. So you can see if I were to just keep this thing running constantly, about 1.5 hours. But last, I want to know, can this run a microwave in your RV? Now I know what you're probably thinking. This is a built-in microwave and the plug is tucked away, hidden somewhere inside of there. So how am I going to easily plug in this to the power station? Well, folks, I've got on my RV here a special plug in this front storage compartment that takes input from a power station, from a solar generator, just like this one here. And so I've just connected it here, and that's going to send the power from the power station to half of the breaker panel here on my RV. Now, if you're curious on this specific mod, I'm not going to go into all the details, but basically there's a transfer switch back here that is switching between shore power and the power station power. And that way, when I'm on the road, if I want to stop at a rest area, use the microwave, or even have the refrigerator in the outdoor kitchen in use while I'm on the road, I can simply plug in a portable power station and it will feed power to those AC outlets in the RV. And if you're curious on all the particular details for this mod, I will put a card up above for the dedicated video where I went into great depth of how to set this up on your RV. But let's go ahead and turn on the microwave and just see what happens. Can the Explorer 1000 V2 run a microwave? Okay, now don't judge me for running it empty here. It's just for a short time period. But you can see there the output, 1218 watts, 1278. Yeah, I mean, that's really impressive. And folks, I do this all the time when I go to a rest area. We take leftovers and we warm them up in the microwave, and it's just super handy because I don't have to unplug or do anything right here. It just seamlessly works. All right, so that is very impressive with the Explorer 1000, all the different things that you can run off of it. And I love just how portable it is. But what about here with the HomePower 3000? Let's take it up a notch. And so, like I mentioned before, this one has already a 30 amp RV style plug. So I don't need any adapters or anything. I just plug my RV straight into it. And this is just like having a gas generator, only there are no fumes, there's no gasoline, no maintenance whatsoever on it. So let's go ahead and plug the RV in. And in full disclosure, I'll just mention, if you have a surge protector, a built-in surge protector hardwired inside of your RV that has any kind of intelligence to detect an open neutral, a missing ground, that sort of thing, you're going to need a ground neutral plug, just like this one here. Otherwise, it won't pass the power through. And so I've got a hardwired surge protector on my unit. It's real simple. I just take this grounding plug right here and I plug it right into one of these open outlets. And then I can take my RV's 30 amp plug, which you've probably seen before, and I plug this one into that dedicated port right there. And so now I'm sending all that power to the RV, just like if I was plugged into a pedestal. Now, currently, I don't really have a lot running on my RV. I mean, right now, it's just the 12-volt lights that are going through the converter and then into the power station right there. So you can see there's a small draw, only about 195, 196 watts. But let's pick up where I left off with the Explorer 1000 V2 and run some heavy draw appliances on the HomePower 3000 and see if it can keep up. So let's do the microwave first. Let me turn the microwave on again, and let's just see how that performs. And so there we can see the watts are increasing right there, 1539. So again, I've got some things on in addition to the microwave right now, and that's why the wattage is higher compared to what it was running on the Explorer 1000. But I mean, that is pretty impressive right there. Okay, so no issues running the microwave on the 3000, which shouldn't be a surprise because after all, it has 3600 watts that we can run off of, and we weren't even up to half of that. And so basically everything you saw me run on the Explorer 1000 is going to certainly run fine on the HomePower 3000. But what about an air conditioner? I have a 15,000 BTU air conditioner on this RV. Can the HomePower 3000 run it? And you know, air conditioners are really tricky with power stations or really any generator because there's an inrush current that is insane. It's off the charts. Oftentimes it can exceed 6,000 watts just for a split second. And typically that will trip up a power station. So let's see if the HomePower 3000 can run my 15K BTU air conditioner. It's a Furrion, by the way. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And right now I've got nothing else other than the converter panel running. So we're gonna power it on and make sure it's on cool mode. And there it goes. So let's see if it can actually run. It started, the compressor kicked on, and it's staying steady right there. Let's see if it can run this for a longer period of time, right? Because when you turn the air conditioner on, you're not just flipping it on for 30 seconds at a time. I mean, typically, if you're at a rest area or you're at a campsite on a hot summer day and you've got a power station like this, you want to run it for maybe 30 to 45 minutes, right? To really cool down and take some of that humidity out of the air. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my stopwatch here, and then let's just come back and see if it can sustain the air conditioner running. And so I've got it ticking right now. We're at 97% on the battery capacity, and it's hovering right around 1470 watts in terms of the usage. So let's check back and just see how it runs. And by the way, folks, it is 90 degrees right now in the RV, so it's a pretty hot summer day, very humid. I'm really curious to see if the HomePower 3000 can sustain this giant 15,000 BTU air conditioner. Now, while that air conditioner is running and cooling things down, let me just mention, for those curious, Jackery does also make solar panels that go along with their power stations. And if you're somewhere where you've got lots of sun, you can put them out. What you're looking at here is the Solar Saga 200 model, and you can charge up your power stations right through the sun. Of course, you can hook up multiple solar panels and then it'll charge even faster. But for me, most of the time, I'm just plugging these into shore power, which, by the way, on the HomePower 3000, I was really impressed watching it charge through shore power. It went well over 1,600 watts of input. I mean, a lot of power stations will cap out, 1,400 watts. But the Jackery went all the way over 1,600 watts, so that's pretty impressive. Now I'm gonna come inside while the RV is cooling down because it's really hot out there and it feels a lot better in here already. But one thing I did want to mention in full transparency is I do have a soft start installed on my 15K air conditioner. If you're curious about that, I did a dedicated video about how to install it step by step, so I'll put a card up above and a link in the description below. I definitely think it's a good idea, though, if you're going to be running your air conditioner on a power station, on a solar generator, go ahead and put a soft start on your air conditioner. Okay, so we're just over 26 minutes, and the air conditioner has been running non-stop. You can see there we're down to 71%. In fact, we just have some condensate out here that dripped onto the ground. And check this out, though. We are using right just over 1,600 watts continuously. And then this is really neat here that we've got 1.2 hours remaining runtime with the air conditioner running non-stop. Let's hop in here though and just see if it actually made a difference. Okay, wow. Oh, it feels so much drier in here just after running even just 25 minutes. And check this out, folks, 80 degrees. So I know that might sound kind of warm still. It was at 90 and 25 minutes, it's dropped 10 degrees, but it feels amazing in here right now. When you come in from the humidity and then you come into a nice dry 80 degrees, it feels really good. I mean, just imagine that you're on a long road trip with your RV and you stop about halfway in the day for lunch at a rest area. It's a hot summer day. Imagine being able to pull out the Jackery HomePower 3000, plug up your RV and take the temperature of your RV down, get rid of that humidity, and have a comfortable, enjoyable lunch off the grid. Or maybe you're camping somewhere, and sure, you're not going to be running the air conditioner non-stop off of a solar generator, but perhaps you take the edge off, run it for 30 minutes here and there. So that's really impressive that I can run my 15K air conditioner off of this unit here. But what about running the air conditioner and the microwave at the same time? Let's see if it can handle that here. So I'm just gonna do 30 seconds right here. Okay, it's starting. Look at those watts. Okay, we are climbing over 3,000 watts, but still not past the 3,600. I mean, that is really impressive, folks. So I'm running right now a microwave and a 15,000 BTU air conditioner at the same time off of a solar generator, the Jackery HomePower 3000. That is really impressive. Look at that. And I just heard the beeps there. The microwave finished 30 seconds and no problem at all. It didn't even flinch. All right, I think I put both of them through some pretty fair tests. And so let me summarize between the two. If you're just running, lighter devices, lighter appliances that are under 1500 watts, then I think really the Explorer 1000 is going to be the way to go because it's so lightweight, so portable. Again, only 24 pounds. You can move it pretty much wherever you need to. However, if you're going to be running heavier draw appliances and you want to plug in your RV like I've done here, I mean, the air conditioner is still running as I record this, then that's where the HomePower 3000, I think, really is going to give you an advantage. And it's still portable. I mean, it's 60 pounds, but it's fairly easy to move around even for one person. And you can just plug your RV straight in, and then you can run basically everything that you normally would be able to run on a 30 amp pedestal. And the beauty of both of these units is they're not limited to just RV use. As a weekend warrior, when I buy equipment like this, I have to think through, well, how can I use these devices when I'm not out camping? Because otherwise it doesn't make sense to just buy devices that I'm only using maybe once a month. And so what I love about these devices is I can actually use them around the house. For instance, I can use either one of these as a backup power source if I have a power failure, during a storm. This would easily power a full-size residential refrigerator in your kitchen. That way your food doesn't go to waste. You could even use this as a backup power for your home office, almost like a UPS, where you plug in your computer and everything into here, and basically it gets its power through your house's power when you have electricity. But then when the power shuts off, or even if it flickers for a moment, this comes in like a backup generator and you don't lose all your work on the computer. So I really think that's smart. But then this guy over here, I mean, you could run multiple refrigerators, multiple devices and things when you have a power outage. And both of these, again, you can bring inside your house. There's no fumes. There's nothing you have to worry about. They're safe, unlike gas generators that you'd have to keep outside and run these long extension cords. And so I really like the versatility of these units. But to close out the video, if the features and benefits are not enough for you, let me just talk about Jackery as a company and what really sets these apart from other brands. And I think this is really important because there are a lot of power station brands out there and many more popping up every year. But Jackery is perhaps one of the oldest power station, one of the oldest solar generator companies, over 12 years old. I mean, name another company that is still in existence today making power stations that has 12 plus years of experience. So really impressive. And for those who don't know, Jackery was actually started by a former Apple engineer. And what I've noticed about Jackery is they don't just rush products out. It seems like they really take their time. They do the research, the engineering and all that to make sure what they're putting out is safe and well designed. It just seems like they stick with a tried and true approach when they design and release their products. And another thing I'll mention is when you're looking for a power station, look at the big box stores in your area and see what brands are those big box stores selling locally in your area or even on their websites online. Because a lot of power stations that pop up, they're just kind of fly-by-night companies. You'll see them just on Amazon, right, in their own website. But big box stores that are reputable, they're not going to risk their reputation selling that type of product. Whereas with Jackery products, I think you're going to find them at almost every big box store out there. And so they really have built up a reputation for themselves. And then speaking of reputation, let me just real quickly mention the warranty because I think it's really impressive on the Jackery products like these two right here. They come standard with a 3-year warranty. And then once you register them, you get an extra 2 years. So a total of 5 years warranty coverage. Pretty impressive. So in conclusion, I'll just say this, there's a lot of great power stations and brands out there. but I would argue that Jackery is perhaps the most trusted just based on their experience alone in the industry. And so I really don't think you can go wrong with either of these power stations here. Well, folks, I hope you found this video helpful in deciding which of these will best meet your needs. If you have any questions about these, definitely drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're interested in purchasing one of these, I will include all the discounts and the deals, all those links down below. So definitely use those to get the best price possible. And last but not least, I want to say a special thanks to Jackery for the opportunity to collaborate. And as always, thanks for watching.